Hey everybody, it's Ben again. Here it is on a Tuesday. I don't know if you've been following me. Hopefully you have. I'm trying to grow this channel out with my crazy talking and ranting. You'll probably notice I put up some shorts over the last few days. Did that basically just because football was going on. Things are busy. Trying different formats out. But I did realize that in the short format, I'm really not able to give a lot of context to some of the things I'm throwing out. So I thought maybe I try to give some context. One of the big ones I wanted to talk about was me discussing basically letting players play harder in football, sort of go back to 80s rules, what I was talking about. And I just feel like the NFL is trying to sell this illusion of wanting to make the game safer. And I'm not saying they don't have some energy around that, but I really think if you think about it, like if they cared so much about player safety, they wouldn't have games on Thursdays where they have short weeks. They wouldn't have them traveling internationally or on short sleep. They also wouldn't be adding more weeks of games all the time. They're trying to now add an 18th because, again, every week you play, it's like being in a car accident. So when you're adding more, there's more damage can be had. The other piece about beyond that is just look around. Are they getting any less injuries? They're absolutely not. I mean, you might say that, concussions are decreased, which is great, but look at all the weird ligament injuries and all the hurt and all the stuff that's going on. And I think one of the hugest issues in this is that they don't allow players to condition themselves anymore. It used to be basically from March forward, they were having football practice and they'd be doing two-a-days and they're actually hitting each other. And really, and I know it's the, NFLPA, but the reality is like, you're not making it safer for them. It's not helping guys to be out there unconditioned, unable to take hits. And the other thing about it is, the way that you have regulated out defensive play, they can't really hit folks. They can't, that you made a situation where quarterbacks aren't afraid of getting hurt. And because they're not really afraid of getting hurt, they extend plays in unnatural ways and they put themselves in bad situations. And when you think about players like, say, Jayden is a perfect example, absolutely talented individual, but he's these tiny little skinny little chicken legs. Some guy like that shouldn't be out there still just running around, scrambling, trying to make more happen because he's going to get killed. But instead of getting killed, he gets hurt in a weird way because when he gets tackled, they have to like wrap up his legs or grab him some strange way because you're not allowed to just hit a guy and knock him down because that'll be a penalty. So what happens? The tiniest, weakest part of this guy's body, his little legs, is what gets injured. Why? Because they end up having to go after them. It's not making him safer. It's not helping him in any way. Like the reality is what would probably help him is one, being more conditioned. Two, if you had the fear of somebody coming in and rocking you, putting you on the ground, you're probably not going to put yourself in the same kind of harm. And that's the reality of it. The game has gotten stripped down to where it's as bad as college. The offense is as bad. Quarterbacks barely understand how to read defenses. Players go out and run, across the middle, do all this, and then you get all these weird, like, high school play games where it's just, guys getting passes where they would get killed if this was the 80s because they get rocked running across the middle. And the thing is, at the end of the day, you've not improved the quality of the game. I know for the NFL, their excitement is more scoring, and more prop bets and more gambling, and come in and waste your money on all this gambling. But it's like, yeah, but you're your officiating is so bad that you make it seem like your thing is rigged. You have such a financial investment in the gambling itself that the likelihood of it being rigged is really, really great. And with the resources that you have, the fact that you haven't made it where it's easily accountable for what's going on in the course of your game makes it all seem rigged. And then on top of that, the quality of play's gone down. Your quarterbacks are not as good. The games are not as interesting. And why do you think it is that Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Flacco, right, over 120 years of age between the three of them, were able to put up 12 passing touchdowns over the course of 2 games, right, and can absolutely carve up defenses in the NFL. Guys in their, Matt Stafford's not 40, but let's just say they're all 40, right? Why is that? Well, because they came into the league when guys actually had to understand how to read defenses and how to play them correctly. So these old guys can just rip it up. Why do you think these old cats are trying to stay around as long as they can? Well, they can't get any damage. Nobody's allowed to hit them. Defenses have no idea how to protect against them. So they can just go out there and rip it up. Of course they'd stay in, And two, look at how high their pay scale is now. It's insane. Russell Wilson is literally making $10 million to sit on a bench and be useless. It's crazy. And again, right? Don't tell me that that's making the game better. It's not. I'm sorry. And beyond that, I there's a whole other piece of this, which is that I felt for the longest time that this flag football thing coming in was basically the NFL as keeps pushing this flag football because they're so concerned about injuries and that they want to basically get people interested in watching a game where people don't hit each other either by this flag football or getting people to watch other people play Madden, which I'm amazed that people are foolish enough to do that because can't you see where this is going? But the flag football thing for me the longest time, you see it in the Olympics. I was like, oh gosh, this is the NFL basically eventually going, well, we'll just have no contact and it'll all be flag football. Well, that might be part of the long-term vision, but now that they have it in the Olympics and now that it's everywhere internationally, I was having a whole other thought. And I was thinking about the college system and think about how for decades the college system was the feeder program for the NFL. And forever, the college didn't have to pay players. Players came out of college and they didn't get paid. When they came into the NFL, they came in, all of their pay was very structured. They were very broke, so they paid very little money. Contracts were set up where the owners could get out of them super easily, so they didn't have to pay these guys. Now you've got things where even like second round players are getting fully guaranteed contracts, and you get guys now that are like in their fourth year. They're like, sweet, I've made enough money, I'm just going to retire, And so the NFL obviously doesn't like it because they want to have control. And the other thing about it is that again, and so now and then you also have got kids coming out of college that are not as willing to just toe the line, and they're kind of like, whatever, man, I'm already a millionaire, what are you going to tell me, you know what I mean? And so to me, I think a bigger piece of this flag football is it's an international, it's a talent scouting program. They're going, well, geez, why would I want to pay this kid who's been a superstar at forever, whatever, when I can get this guy from Azerbaijan and pay him nothing and just get him to come over here because he plays in some backwood team and I can see his ability, And the other piece about it is with the flag football, because it's now in the Olympics and now we're just going to force countries around the world to have at least some comprehension of U.S. American football, which I think is the other big moment, is they really want they want to cut into that soccer money. They also want the money that's being made from cricket. Cricket's like the biggest sport in the world, I think, or that or 1 and 2 are cricket and Olympics, or excuse me, cricket and soccer. But I also think it's very much about them getting very cheap international players, because essentially what are they doing? Well, they're now, instead of just being able to pull them out of the U.S. ghettos, which is kind of how our system clearly wants it to be set up, they're now able to pull them out of international ghettos, So, yeah, I do think there's a much bigger thing, and I just feel, in my opinion, that the NFL has major corruption, but of course that's not anything new to us. And I think it's just, but that was sort of my point on those things. Hopefully there's some clarification there. Let the guys play real football. If they get injured, let's hope they don't, but just be real about it when they come in. It's like, you're being paid this kind of money to be in this sport because it's a gladiator sport. You're going to be sacrificing probably your long-term health for generational wealth and improving the lives of your families for the better. To me, I just think it's better for the players. I think in the long run, I think, yes, they're going to get hurt, but I think it's more realistic. I think we as fans are going to have we'll have a better thing to watch. And I think in the NFL in the long run will help it to exist longer. And now last thing is, I talked about having another league. My other thing about it is that if the NFL is not going to do that, and they're going to keep down this slide, then my thing is, like, just give rise to a new league, like create a league that guys actually can play like they used to play in the 80s, and just watch it. I guarantee it'd be so much more successful. I think people would be a lot more interested in watching it. It'd be a lot more fun. But the NFL is such a juggernaut. I mean, good luck, so, but I just think, think differently about the optics. Yeah, but it's pretty wild. I know I've been talking about some betting prop bet stuff. I just want to say again that, there is such continuous shenanigans with the refs, whether it's missed calls, it's them, changing calls to help teams, but then not changing other obvious missed calls. I mean, what was that thing was it San Francisco the other night where they literally dragged, where the lineman dragged the guy across the line, just totally illegal, pulling him into the end zone, but somehow that wasn't called and overturned, but they overturned that call on Detroit. It's just there's just a lot of things to be suspect about. So I recommend all of you, like, do not get caught up in the sports betting on the NFL. It is not, it can't be trusted at this point, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, but then beyond it, let's stop with the garbage, talk about the great stuff. I mean, we're seeing some exciting young players coming out. I think that there's just some incredible excitement out there. Baker Mayfield's been playing out of his mind. He obviously ran in a brick wall with the Lions. Lions look absolutely fantastic. I know everyone's going crazy about the Chiefs. I do think the Chiefs look complete, although I do feel like people are crowning them a little bit quick. I think we need to see them have some stronger, some stronger competition. But yeah, they look pretty scary out there. They look great. Obviously I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm not impartial, but they look ridiculous. Drake just looks incredible. And I know that you see some of these talking heads. Nick Wright's the loud pontificator on the first things first, and he loves to go on and on and on about Mahomes and the Chiefs and the greatest and the dynasty, and he kept talking about he's better than Brady, and I get his point. He's a homer, more power to him, but it's funny because he keeps acting like, Drake and the Patriots, this quaint little franchise that we don't have to worry about. Well, I know, or at least my opinion, I think you're being disingenuous. I think you're absolutely worried about Drake. I think you can see that Drake's able to already do everything your guy can do. He can pretty much do all of it, and actually he's a little smoother. He seems better at reading defenses. The Patriots have assembled a team that can specifically beat your team, that can shut your team down. So it'd be interesting. I'm excited to see it. I think the Chiefs may very well just go out and do their thing, but I think the Patriots are going to have something to say about it. It's pretty exciting times, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sure I'll be back to share more with you. But in the short term, what I do want to say is as you know, I often get these off the football things, so I like to kind of finish with these. But it's just the world that you and I, any of us, live in, right, is, I would say, if anything, is full of mystery. It's not like you or any of us got handed a manual. After you came out of your mother and you showed up here, it's not like you got handed a manual and say, this is what it is to be alive or to be a human, right? And it's not like you were handed a thing that said, well, anyway, let me just say this, is that our system, this culture that we live in, this society that we live in, is designed to disenfranchise you. It's designed by its own media to teach you to feel less than. It is designed to convince you that you are missing out on something that other people have already figured out. It is also designed for you to give your agency and your power and autonomy up to someone else. Hence the presidential and all these different, hence why all their buildings are big, huge, tall monuments you got to walk up just to show their authority, show their power, all of those kind of things. So that's meant to be. But I will say that that nobody around you has any more of an answer than you do. Nobody else knows any more or is any more solid about what's going on than you are. And also, nobody else is bringing the very, very special thing that only you bring, which is your own light, is your own perspective, and is your own story and your journey. People may tell you to question it. They may tell you to question yourself, to think less of yourself. I will caution you to think more of yourself, to always remember that you are so unique, you are so special, and that the mysteries that you're facing, they're yours. Don't shy from them. Share them. Talk about them. Tell your stories. Share your stories with the world. Look at yourself as if you were an observer who had, say, never looked at human life before. Imagine that you were some alien from another planet and you'd never looked at human life before. And all you could do was look through the lens of wonder and intrigue, and imagine how wonderfully intriguing you and your journey might be. And two, maybe talk to yourself from that place. Remind yourself that you are very special, and also that you're still a child, regardless of your age. You're a child. And what do children do? They learn lessons. They learn, they evolve, they grow over time, because you may have failed somewhere, because you got something wrong, because you weren't 100% perfect. That does not make you less. It makes you human. And you know what the great thing about all of those things are? Is if you learn something from it and use it to inform what you do later, it's not a mistake. It's a lesson. So it's not something you lost or something you got wrong. It's something you gained and something you got right. What did you get right? You lived. You did. You acted. You had a function. And so that's what I will say to you, my friends. just be your function, whatever it is, you know? And again, awesome to celebrate and be excited about football and all these things, but guess what? They're just confused humans, very much like you are. They just happen to be in a situation where they allowed themselves to be taken advantage of up to the point where they are now a tool on a field that makes for themselves millions of dollars, but billions of dollars for someone else. You, like I, are also tools in some similar kind of game, making massive profits for someone else as we put our energy out there. As we understand this and as we see this, hopefully we can see our value and our power. And when we start to see that, we can ask ourselves, where and how do I want to put my energy? Where do I want to apply it? What do I want to see done? And who do I want to see doing it with? And then I would say, choose your steps wisely. You know, ask yourself who you're going to listen to. You know, who really understands you? Who knows what's going on? Well, you do. And the last thing is, you know, that thing they put on the wall, it's got the hands and the dial and goes around, that clock thing, time. So time is only a concept. It's a construct. It's someone choosing something and then referring back to it, making a point and then referring back to it like as if it's a constant, right? Well, the only reason that that idea of that constant, right, is so that you constantly have a whip on your back, reminding you that the system can't exist without you producing for it. Do you want to produce for this system? Are you proud of what it's doing? Does it fit with your beliefs? If not, act accordingly. If it does, act accordingly. Time will tell. Well, anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. I'm sure I'll be here talking some more stuff soon. Have a good one.